you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And welcome, everyone, to the Steve Malzberg Show, Monday edition. I hope you had a great weekend. And I got to tell you, it seems like everything revolved around sports, at least for me, and it transcended sports. I mean, it occurred within the realm of sports or sports idols or participants, but it spoke so much about the world in which we live. Let me give you an example. First of all, and maybe we're working backwards here, did anybody watch the ESPN Game of the Week, Sunday Night Baseball, the Yankees in Fenway Park in the rubber game of the three-game set with the Boston Red Sox? It was the Yankees and the Sox, and A-Rod, who was perhaps hated most of all in Boston. He's hated everywhere, but perhaps he's hated in the Yankee front office, I think, but he's hated in Boston. And when he came to the plate in last night's game, his first appearance, second inning, the Red Sox pitcher Ryan Dempster threw a couple. The first pitch almost hit him. The second pitch was way inside. The third pitch was way inside. And then he hit him. I want to just play you what it sounded like a little bit. And those of you watching at Newsmax TV could see this. This is 32. I'll talk a little bit over it once I start talking. Give a listen to how the crowd reacted when he got hit. Now, at this point, A-Rod got hit. The crowd erupts and cheers, which is sick in and of itself. Yankee manager Joe Girardi comes out. He wanted Dempster, the Red Sox pitcher, thrown out. And I believe rightfully so. What the umpire did at that point was give a warning to both benches. One more batter thrown at, the pitcher gets ejected and the manager gets ejected. Well, Girardi didn't like that, and he wound up getting thrown out of the game. But did you hear the crowd erupt? They erupted when A-Rod got hit by a pitch. Let me just say something. I am no fan of A-Rod. A-Rod disgusts me. And anything A-Rod does, I keep hearing these statistics. That's why he has over 600 home runs. I don't want to hear another A-Rod statistic. He's as tainted as whatever, as tainted could be. But you don't throw at him. Now, another Red Sox player earlier in the weekend had said A-Rod shouldn't be playing pending his appeal. You know what? It's the Players Association that agreed that A-Rod should be playing. Any player suspended has a right to appeal and play while he's appealing. That's what the Players Association, which is all the players, agreed to in collective bargaining. So if you don't like A-Rod being there, it's your own fault. And to throw at him is intolerable. Intolerable. Whether you like the player, you hate the player, and these idiots up in Fenway Park who applauded that, there's something wrong with them. I'm sorry. There's something wrong with them. I mean, I've heard it happen in Philadelphia where a player gets hurt, laying on the field, hurt, can't get up. Stretcher comes out, and they're applauding. Not polite applause when he's carried off, but applauding the fact that the player is hurt. Something sick about all of that. All right, now we move backwards. On the other side of the ledger, a man who is I won't say universally loved, but more and more people are coming to that side of the fence with regard to LeBron James. World champion LeBron James, back-to-back championships, MVP of the NBA Finals. And on Friday, he was going to a Justin Timberlake Jay-Z concert, okay? And he tweeted or sent out this little 8-second video. I want you to give a listen, give a watch if you're watching at Newsmax TV. Here's what he had to say. This is 33.
Light police escort on the wrong side of the street. Headed to the big homie concert, JT. Holla.
I don't know what that last part was. Challah, like Jewish bread, or Allah, like Allah? I don't know. Does anybody in there know what Allah means? No. All right. Anyway, So he's took video of him, allegedly, in a police car, told the world he's getting a police escort driving on the wrong side of the street to get to this Jay-Z concert. Holla. I don't know what to say. Why would LeBron James get a police escort? Is that not, in a sense, almost as crazy and sick on the other side of the ledger as to what happened to A-Rod? A-Rod's a villain, so someone throws at him and the crowd applauds? Hits him with a pitch? LeBron James, because he's LeBron James and is going to a concert, allegedly the cops put him in a car and drive on the wrong side of the street to get him to the concert on time? One is hated and one is so loved that the cops are willing to put people at risk to do that? Do you see how I said, and I was right? This is sports, but it's transcends sports. It really does. And now, here's another. This one is today. The first one was Sunday. The LeBron James one was Friday, and now we move to Monday, as in Monday Night Football. But there is no game to be played. Instead, it is a story from years gone by. 1972, the Miami Dolphins, undefeated, the only NFL team ever to have an undefeated season and win the Super Bowl. But they never got to the White House to see the president. Just didn't happen. They didn't make it to the White House. That team of Schuler and Zonka and Mercury Morris and all of them never got to see the president during their undefeated year. Now, tomorrow they're planning to pay a visit to the White House. I guess that means Obama's vacation's over. It's more than 41 years overdue, I guess, is what you could say. But ladies and gentlemen, at least three, count them, 1, 2, 3, of the teammates will not go. According to the Sun Sentinel, they won't be visiting the White House, and more than the three are on the fence about going for the same reason. Bob Kuechenberg, the starting left guard on the 72 team. Well, the first one is Jim Langer. Jim Langer told the paper, I don't want to be in a room with those people and pretend I'm having a good time. I can't do that. If that angers people, so be it. Kuechenberg echoed Langer's opinion. I want to be careful because Mom said if you have nothing good to say about someone, then don't say anything, and I don't have anything good to say about someone. Kuechenberg continued, I don't belong there, I'll tell you that. Without being critical, I could just tell you I don't belong. It would be hypocritical of me to be there. I don't want to do that. I don't want to believe. I just don't believe in this administration at all, so I don't belong. Defensive tackle Manny Fernandez told the Sun Sentinel, I'll just say my views are diametrically opposed to the president's. Enough said. Let's leave it at that. I hope everyone enjoys the trip who goes. So Langer, Kuechenberg, Fernandez, they've turned it down, and more are on the fence. Tisk, tisk, tisk. So there you got it. Sports and society. Sports and politics, sports and politicians, the president and it all comes together. It all comes together on a crazy weekend in the sports world. And I just thought I would bring it to you to start the week on the Steve Malzberg Show. Howard Cosell reporting. Do. For those of you who know who Howard Cosell is, you know what the do is as well. There you go. Matt raises his hand. No one else who works with me knows who Howard Cosell is. All right, folks. 777-966-8550. Do I have it right? What's the number? Give me the number. 855 777. Give me the number. It's blocked. 9660. Okay, there you go. So if you want to give a call, I'd be glad to hear from you. When we come back, in the meantime, former Congressman Pete Hoekstra, former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Muslim Brotherhood, Egypt, all hell still breaking loose. We'll talk about it on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet his security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, there are over 5,000 robberies every day. Your home could be at risk of being burglarized. Don't put your loved ones and valuables in jeopardy. For just over $1 per day, your home can be protected from break-ins, fire, and more. Get the latest home security technology from Protect Your Home, your ADT authorized dealer. Over 6 million households sleep better at night with ADT monitored home security. What's more, Protect Your Home is offering you their latest equipment, an $850 value, absolutely free for qualified customers. Protect your loved ones and home today. Call now for licenses and to find out more. The call is free, 1-800-949-8201. That's 1-800-949-8201. Again, 1-800-949-8201. $99 installation charge, 36-month monitoring agreement at $36.99 per month. Payment by credit card or electronic bank account charge. For new homeowner customers with satisfactory credit history only. Local permit fees may be required. Certain restrictions apply. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern-day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first, and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients, but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember,
according to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, there are over 5,000 robberies every day. Your home could be at risk of being burglarized. Don't put your loved ones and valuables in jeopardy. For just over $1 per day, your home can be protected from break-ins, fire, and more. Get the latest home security technology from Protect Your Home, your ADT authorized dealer. Over 6 million households sleep better at night with ADT monitored home security. What's more, Protect Your Home is offering you their latest equipment, an $850 value, absolutely free for qualified customers. Protect your loved ones and home today. Call now for licenses and to find out more. The call is free, 1-800-949-8201. That's 1-800-949-8201. Again,
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are back, and boy, you couldn't go through the weekend, notwithstanding everything I said at the beginning of the show, you couldn't go through the weekend without hearing about or reading about or watching the horrific scenes coming out of Egypt. And joining us right now to talk about that and a little bit more is former Congressman Pete Hoekstra. He's a former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Hi, Congressman. How are you, sir?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you, Steve.
Always good to talk to you, sir. So, first of all, what do you make of the fact that a court in Egypt today has ordered the release of former President Hosni Mubarak?
Well, that's not a surprise. I mean, the courts are acting in conjunction with the new leaders of Egypt. These were folks that were friends of Mubarak. They were part of his regime, and releasing Mubarak from prison, that's not a surprise. I guess I might have been surprised that it hadn't happened earlier.
Right. No, of course it wouldn't have, but it never would have happened under the Brotherhood, needless to say. Congressman, perhaps what's most disturbing, and this is something, I don't know, as a human being, but maybe especially as a Jewish person, has always riled me, and it's the attacks around the world, but now specifically in Egypt against Christians and the Coptic Christians in that country. They've been going on for years, not to pretend they didn't go on under Mubarak, but nothing to this extent, I don't believe. And now what we're seeing is we actually had reminiscent of Kristallnacht. We had painted Christian shops and homes and whatnot painted with paint before they were destroyed and burned and robbed and pillaged by their attackers. We also have a report here of an Islamic mob parading nuns around in Cairo as prisoners of war 6 hours after looting a church and a school and replacing a cross with a banner resembling an Al-Qaeda flag. I mean, I know the president made mention on his vacation when he made that statement the other day, Thursday, I guess. He briefly mentioned the attacks on Christians, but this cannot be tolerated.
Well, it's following a pattern. You can talk about what's going on in the Middle East. You go back a few years, Saddam Hussein did protect the Christian minorities. The Chaldeans now in Iraq are being brutally attacked and murdered. Really, for most of the last 30 years, Mubarak did protect the Christian and the Jewish minorities in Egypt. I don't think it's accurate. It's accurate to say that there were some attacks that were going on and that occurred during the reign of Mubarak, but by and large, Mubarak was protecting, and his government provided protection for the Coptics in Egypt. Under the Muslim Brotherhood, when they were in control and they were running the government, they sanctioned attacks on the Christian minority. And now that they've been overthrown, they're blaming it on the Christian minority. And it is absolutely brutal and horrific. It's why we should never have partnered with the Muslim Brotherhood or sanctioned them or recognized them. They are a terrorist organization. They are, pardon the language, but they are hell-bent on destroying everything that America stands for and those types of things. And we're seeing the true character and nature of the Muslim Brotherhood now that they're out of power, and seeing what they're doing to Christians and Jews throughout Egypt.
Well, absolutely. And there's a story in the London Telegraph that quotes Egypt's ambassador to Britain saying that the Muslim Brotherhood must be removed like the Nazis were removed back certainly during that time period. And we were told by this administration, look, this administration is still going to bat for the Muslim Brotherhood. This administration sends its emissaries over there and says, hey, guess what? We need a full participation. We need to have the Muslim Brotherhood back in the fold. They have to be participants in the next election, et cetera, et cetera. We were told by John Brennan that the Muslim Brotherhood's nonviolent, that they're good people, that they're not a threat. This was way back. I mean, this administration is playing this card purposely. Why do you feel that Obama has this love for the Muslim Brotherhood?
I can't explain it. I think our DNI, the director of national intelligence, said also, I think it was a couple of years ago, that this was not a terrorist organization. They were, I think the statement was they are a secular organization, and many folks came back, excuse me, and said, no, they identify themselves as the Muslim Brotherhood, not a secular brotherhood. And I can't explain it. I think, again, the president believed that with the power of his personality, he could fundamentally change the nature of the relationship with radical jihadist elements in their view of the United States. And the bottom line was, no. They're going to see that as weakness. They saw it as weakness. They took advantage of it. They're taking advantage of it all across the Middle East. America's credibility is ruined. And you've got people like Saudi. They're stepping up and they're supporting this new government in Egypt. And I'm not saying this new government in Egypt is perfect, all right? But they represent the interests that were aligned with the United States for 30 years.
Absolutely.
They kept stability in northern Africa. They protected the borders with Israel. They kept the Suez Canal open. They maintained peace and stability. And I will take that, an imperfect government like that gets those kinds of outcomes versus what we saw with the Muslim Brotherhood over the last 2 years.
Absolutely. We have a little over a minute, and there's a Washington Times story today by my friend Rowan Scarborough that the Obama administration provided a New York Times reporter exclusive access to a range of high-level national security officials for a book that divulged highly classified information on the U.S. cyber war on Iran's nuclear program. This according to internal State Department emails. It was Sanger of the Times. The book came out in June of 2012. At the time, Republicans wanted to know who was tipping him off, who gave him the information. And now it turns out, according to Scarborough, that it was the Obama administration.
This is just a pattern that we've seen. When intelligence works for them and it enables them to move their message forward, they'll use it. They did it with the killing of bin Laden. They leaked secret details, which had devastating consequences for national security. They've done it, it appears now, with Stuxnet, because I think that's what
right. It is Stuxnet. Yeah, book. Yeah.
And again, with devastating. You have to remember, Steve.
Well, Congressman, I'm kind of out of time, so it was unfair to bring that up to you at the end, but I did want to get your initial response. Listen, Congressman, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you, sir.
All right, sounds good. Hey, thank you.
My pleasure. Congressman Pete Hoekstra, former chair of the House Intelligence Committee, on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Health insurance is on everybody's mind right now. You either don't have it, or you have it and you think it's too expensive. And you probably feel like you don't have any options. We can help. We are InSphere Insurance Solutions. We offer health insurance plans from major carriers nationwide and likely have a plan that can save you money. Whether you're self-employed, on a COBRA plan that's about to expire, or you simply don't have health insurance where you work and you need it, InSphere Insurance Solutions can help you. Our agents will help you find coverage you can afford. InSphere Insurance Solutions is an authorized agency in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Plans may not be available in all states. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325.
You've heard the allegations on the news, and during the big game, pro football players have been using deer antler velvet to get a competitive edge. Banned at the London Games for its performance-enhancing qualities. Forbidden in major sports leagues for being an unfair advantage to athletes. Deer antler velvet is now in stock and available to try for free for a limited time only. Athletes have been using it for years for increased strength, increased endurance, muscle mass stress reduction, and yes, greatly enhanced libido. Everyone's talking about this miracle substance so powerful it's being banned by professional sports organizations. But for a limited time, it's being made available to the general public. Best of all, you can try it for free by calling 800-678-5153. That's right, get Superior Velvet for free. If you're looking to boost your performance on the field and between the sheets, get the most powerful, proven product used by athletes for years now for free. Claim your free bottle today by calling 800-678-5153. That's 800-678-5153. Again, 800-678-5153. Attention, if you've been classified as a high-risk driver due to DUI, DWI, or tickets for aggressive driving and are required to get expensive and hard-to-find SR22 auto insurance, then you must listen to this message because we can help. We're the largest insurance company in the U.S., specializing in SR22 auto insurance and focused on serving the needs of customers classified by the state as high-risk drivers. We help people get back on their feet by providing easy-to-get, low-cost SR22 insurance that anyone can afford. If you you need SR22 auto insurance, or if you have it now and are paying too much, you need to call us today for your free quote at 800-836-4606. Our specialists are standing by waiting for your call. We understand people make mistakes, and we're here to help by making SR22 insurance easy to get and affordable for everyone. The call and quote are free. Call us now at 800-836-4606. That's 800-836-4606. Again, 800-836-4606.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV. Cancel the cable. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Really Big Show, Monday edition of the Steve Malzberg Show. And if you want to join us, 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660, to talk about anything you want. And let's go down to our friends in Delray Beach, Florida, and say hello to Brandon. Hey, Brandon, you're on the Steve Malzberg Show.
Thank you, Mr. Malzberg.
Well, wait a minute, Brandon. If you call me Mr. Malzberg, I got to call you Mr. Brandon. So just call me Steve. Thanks.
You got it, my brother.
All right.
Hey, I'm just going about your focus on the A-Rod, on your outrage on how the fans treated him.
Well, yeah, after he got hit, I mean, yeah. I don't care if they boo him otherwise, but he got hit.
I know, but the guy, I mean, he should bow out. He's pulling like a Lance Armstrong. The only difference is that these guys, and if it's true that his people mentioned names of other players that were taking these performance-enhancing drugs, these guys throw 90-mile-an-hour fastballs, right? Lance Armstrong, all he could do was threaten to sue you. So he should have bowed out, retired, apologized, served a suspension like a man, and then come back to baseball, and I think everything would be forgiven. But I think it just his attitude of, I don't care what people think, I'm going to do what I want to do, and he doesn't care about the game, obviously.
But Brandon, he's exercising the right gained under the collective bargaining agreement, where the players agreed that he has a right, that they all have a right to appeal a suspension.
That's right.
I mean, he's now look. And if these pitchers think that they could use their 90-mile-an-hour fastball as a weapon, they're going to find themselves getting suspended and losing pay over this.
Yeah, but I just think it's a little bit. I don't know. It's tough, man. When you're talking about a game that's America's pastime, and how much does it cost to go see a game? I mean, you're talking 50,
Oh,
60,
I know. Look, I
bucks.
don't think anything A-Rod does should count. I mean, I don't think it's fair to Boston or Baltimore or anybody that the Yankees might beat and cost a playoff spot or home field advantage, or that if the Yankees should win a wild card spot because of the contributions they get, or in part because of the contributions from A-Rod. I don't think it's fair. But that's the system that was set up. I mean, and you gotta live with it. You can't throw at somebody. I mean, you can't physically injure somebody. You know what? If you think he's such a bum, if you don't like it, then go up to him and be a, I don't want to say be a man because it's illegal, but then throw a punch at him if you're such a throw a punch at him in a restaurant or in their locker room, and then go get arrested if you're such a big man. But don't take a baseball and throw it 90 miles an hour at somebody's back.
I'm sure he's got 5 bodyguards surrounding him at all
Look, you know
times.
my point. I'm not advocating that either, but you know my point.
I understand.
It's not the right thing to do, Brandon. You can't do
right
that.
On. I appreciate that, but I mean that's the game of baseball. I mean sometimes
it's the game of baseball. It's the game of baseball to an extent. Traditionally, under certain circumstances, if you hit a home run or the batter before you hits a home run, you want to keep, or a pitcher wants to keep his part of the plate protected, that kind of thing. But because you don't like what somebody did off the field, you're going to clock them? Nah, that's never been a part of baseball.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't known many baseball players off the field that have had retribution on the field, but I mean, hey, man, he's getting what he deserves.
Well, I think he's going to get what he deserves with the suspension. And by the way, I don't think he's going to get suspended for the 200 whatever games. I think they're going to cut that in half because he's considered, like it or not, he's considered a first-time suspension. There are rules to deal with first-time suspensions, and the other players got 50 games. So I don't see how they're going to how an arbitrator is going to hold that lengthy of a suspension when it's not consistent with what the league did to the rest of the players. So we'll see. Time will tell.
That's true. Right on, brother.
Hey, Brandon, thank you. Are you listening?
Yes,
You're listening on Big Talk 850?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Good to hear you.
All right, spread the word. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate
it. Got it, buddy.
All right. Yeah, I just don't like seeing that. It just turned my stomach. It really did. I'm no fan of A-Rod. I don't like to see anybody picked on, and I don't care what they I know poor A-Rod, right? No, I know not poor A-Rod. He has his hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever the heck he has. He makes $150,000 a game. My heart doesn't bleed for poor A-Rod. Okay, he's got blondes today, redheads tomorrow. My heart doesn't bleed for A-Rod. But if you're going to pick up a baseball and use it as a weapon in front of a home crowd that you're whipping up into a frenzy to try to make some cockamamie point that you don't approve of what this guy's doing, go up to him. Go up to him in the dugout. Don't hit him. Just say, I think you stink. I think you're blank. I think you're there. Go ahead. Do that without the baseball in your hand, without a bat in your hand. And see how brave you are. But I don't think he would do that. Okay, we are joined right now, I am very happy to say once again, by Congressman Frank Wolf from the 10th District of the great state of Virginia, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Hey, Congressman, how are you, sir?
I'm very good. Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you for joining us. It's been a while, but I just wanted to talk to you in light of what we have heard about Benghazi, and in an effort to keep Benghazi out there as much as possible. We heard from former U.S. Attorney Joe DeGenova, who is the legal representative for one of the Benghazi witnesses who testified, Mark Thompson, a so-called whistleblower, who told WMAL Radio last week that he was in. He knows why. He knows the circumstances of the Benghazi attack, and that it involved surface-to-air missiles, a couple of hundred of them anyway. I mean, have you heard this independently of Mr. DeGenova? And if not, do you believe him? Where are we with this?
Well, that's a good question. I have many questions. That's why I have put the resolution in to have a select committee to answer some of these questions. I have heard that. I've also heard other weapons were there, secondhand, not firsthand like he had, but secondhand. We've been in touch with people who are on the ground who have contacted my office through intermediaries. They have told us stories like that, but I cannot personally say that I know that to be the fact. Other stories that we've been told is that when the attack took place on the annex, that the consulate called the annex, the CIA annex, and said, "Help us," and they were told to stand down. They got another call, and they were told to stand down, and they got a call the third time, and Ty Woods and them, who were former Navy SEALs, basically went they went in spite of the order, and there was a feeling that maybe had they gone the first time, that Ambassador Stevens and the other gentleman would not have been killed. There's also a story, and I know it now to be true, that we were told that when the wounded were there and were being taken out, they were not taken out on an American aircraft. I mean, that's incredible. Here you have wounded American fighters, if you will, taken out on a maybe even a commandeered Libyan plane.
Wow.
Also, we would now know to be a fact that the CIA employees of 25 or 30 who were on the tarmac at the airport in Benghazi, when they were waiting and waiting and waiting, this is not to be rescued, if you will, during the fighting, but afterward, it was not an American plane that took them out. It was a Libyan plane that took them out. We also have heard other things like that. So there are so many questions. So what Joe DeGenova said sounds logical, but since I don't know firsthand, like I did the other things, I think we have to find out. We need a public hearing. We need to subpoena the witnesses. I think the two witnesses who would probably be able to answer this under oath would be John Brennan, who's head of the CIA, and David Petraeus, who's the former head of the CIA. There's so much that we don't know. And lastly, when the Congress comes back into session on September 9th, 2 days later, it'll be the one-year anniversary.
Congressman, I got to tell you, but we should point out that DeGenova said that those 400 surface-to-air missiles were intended for Syrian rebels, and that they were stolen by, as he put it, some very ugly people, and that people are walking around Washington holding their breath. First of all, that the embassy closings were related to the missiles that were stolen, because they felt that the attack would be that one of these missiles would be fired at one or more of the embassies, and number two, naturally, God forbid, that some of these missiles could be used to take down a passenger jet.
Well, Joe DeGenova was the U.S. Attorney here in the District of Columbia, a very, very credible person. And if he says that, I think he probably would be operating on pretty solid information. The concern is that any weapons, whatever they are, that would later go into Syria would go into the hands of jihadis. I mean, if you looked at the Washington Post yesterday, some of the groups that are now active in Syria are scary. In February this year, my chief of staff and myself, we went to Lebanon on the border down in the Bekaa Valley, and we had people from Syria come out to meet us. The stories that they told us of jihadis, people from Afghanistan, people from Yemen, people from Chechnya and places, is very scary. And the very thought that some of those weapons could go into those hands. And so who knows? And if Joe DeGenova said that this person told him, then, I would not question that. I think we have to find out.
We're talking to Congressman Frank Wolf here on the Steve Malzberg Show. You have been, in my view, heroic in trying to keep this alive, in calling for a select committee. Why on earth does John Boehner not want to do this? He doesn't want to, he's going to capitulate on immigration reform. He doesn't want to rock the boat on health care. He doesn't want to risk a government shutdown. So we're going to let Obamacare hit us. He doesn't want to go with a select committee on this. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Well, I can't answer those questions. We're going to continue to push. We just picked a new co-sponsor up today. I think we're at 168. So 6 more have gone on over since the recess started. I would urge citizens, if they're listening, to ask their congressman, are you on the resolution? It's HRES 36. It would be bipartisan. I think you have to have both parties involved. Both parties ought to be able to call witnesses. Both parties should be able to subpoena witnesses, because a subpoena is not an unfriendly act. It's a friendly act. If you're a federal employee and you're afraid to come forward, by being subpoenaed, you are sort of protected. We have heard the story that CIA employees are asked to sign, again, non-disclosure agreements, so they won't disclose what went on. That's why you need to subpoena them all, friendly subpoena, and bring them up before the hearing publicly. Because if it's all done in private, closed-door sessions, the American people will never find out what happened. And so I think everyone ought to ask their congressman, are you on HRES 36? Otherwise, I'm going to make a prediction. We're never going to know what happened. And, the contrast is amazing. I'll kind of end on this. We lost 4 American lives there's a guy named Ubin who was a security officer for the State Department who still had a Bethesda wall to read 11 months later. We have another Navy SEAL who was severely wounded. These men are heroes. They are heroes of what they've done. But if you contrast their pain and suffering and death, and the families of the 4 that were killed want to know what happened, the contrast is Hillary Clinton is now making several $100,000 a speech. General Petraeus is working up in New York and Wall Street. Jack Lew, who was chief of staff, is now the Secretary of Treasury. Susan Rice, who was at the UN, who testified on 5 different occasions that it was this so-called video, is now the National Security Advisor. And so if you look at the contrast, and Leon Panetta signed a book deal for $3 million.
Oh, boy.
It is crazy. So we have to have bipartisan public hearings, everything on the record, and bring people forward so we can find out what happened.
One more. You mentioned Hillary Clinton, and that's not one of the people you said that needs to testify along with Brennan and General Petraeus. Would you be in favor of hearing from Hillary again?
I would, but I think the 2 most important ones, I think there can be too much time spent on this whole, the talking points in the memo. Who changed the memo? I mean, I think we know what happened. It was a political campaign, and, who knows what happened. But
wouldn't Hillary also, sir, know everything that happened?
She may, but she was out sick. But sure, there are many others. You would also want to call everyone who was on the ground during the attack ought to be called. Everyone ought to be subpoenaed. To date, that has not happened. And anyone who has been talked to, there was just a handful, have all been done in closed sessions. So the point is, the 2 people who were driving this was John Brennan, who was in the White House, who was the president's top national security guy, and also General Petraeus, who was head of the CIA. I think, but there are many others who should be called, but I think they are the 2. I mean, the question is, why did we not send a plane to rescue them? If you remember, General Carter Ham, the general, who was head of AFRICOM, testified in closed-door session, and 2 weeks later went out to Aspen at an event where they were charging $1,200 a ticket to tell what went on there.
Yeah.
He should be called up publicly. And there's some other things. He said he didn't send the rescue team in because he thought the attack on the consulate was almost over, and he probably had a hostage situation. Well, the hostage situation in Iran went on for a year. So the attack on the annex hadn't even taken place yet, and he knew there was an annex. So why didn't they send the team in? There are so many.
Yeah, the whole thing is just sickening. And listen, again, thank you on behalf of all of us who do care about this and want to see answers for the grieving parents, that poor mother who goes on the shows from time to time.
Gene Smith.
Yeah, I mean, these people need answers. We all need answers. I thank you, Congressman, very much.
Thanks, sir.
Take care,
Bye.
Congressman Frank Wolf, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. When we come back, I want to point to something that's taking place at the Fort Hood massacre trial, and we're going to have a guest on about this tomorrow. But wait till you hear what the judge has not allowed in as evidence. It's kind of crazy. We'll tell you when we come back. By the way, 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660. We spend so much time trying to figure out Boehner and immigration. What's he going to allow to come to the floor for a vote? What's this piecemeal approach going to be all about? Are they going to capitulate to what the Senate bill said on immigration reform? And then we ask the question so often, why won't Boehner and the leadership for once and for all just say, we are not going to fund Obamacare, and it'll be the Democrats shutting down the government, not us. Now we can't even get Boehner to say, let's have a select committee. Let's have a special committee on Benghazi. Why not? What is with Boehner? Does anybody know? Anybody have an opinion? I'd love to hear from you. 855-777-9660 on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction can be devastating for you and your loved ones. Don't let the disease of addiction ruin everything you've worked so hard for. The Treatment Helpline has helped thousands of people just like you take control of their addictions and live healthier, cleaner, and happier lives. You are not alone. Now there's hope. The Treatment Helpline has helped people just like you overcome their addiction. If you or a loved one is suffering from a drug, alcohol, or gambling addiction, let us help you today. Call 1-800-813-9821. Our seasoned addiction treatment professionals can show you how to use your private health insurance to help cover the costs of this life-changing program. Call now and get a free confidential consultation. 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Help is only a phone call away. Call 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect, with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
We're in the midst of an obesity epidemic, and I'm not surprised. The statistics on obesity mirror an increasing trend of eating out or ordering in. In fact, some people dine out every night, but eating in restaurants is one of the biggest enemies of your heart. When you're in a restaurant, you don't really know what you're getting, and the calorie counts of many restaurant dishes are astronomical. In fact, some single dishes contain more calories than we should eat in an entire day. Eating in fast food restaurants is even worse. A diet of hamburgers, French fries, and shakes constitutes a fast lane to the emergency room. If you really want to help your heart, get in the habit of cooking simple meals at home. Here are 3 easy tips that will make your food taste better than even the best restaurant. Choose the best fruit in season. Your local farmer's market is a great place to start. It will probably still cost less than that pie you were thinking of buying. Get in the habit of using fresh herbs. You can use them in egg white omelets or dust them on the fish you grill or bake. And for a light dessert, choose a square or 2 of dark chocolate that you and your spouse can enjoy. There are lots of ways to make your heart healthy, but there are also lots of ways to damage it. That's why I wrote Fix It, Dr. Crandall's 90-day program. In it, I'll tell you how to kickstart your metabolism every day, how to pick the best diet for you, how to stop hunger from sabotaging your diet, the 7 superfoods for your heart. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back to the big show. By the way, in the next hour, joining us will be Pam Geller, founder of AtlasShrugs.com, president of the American Freedom Defense Initiative. That Million Muslim March slated for September 11th. We'll talk about that with her. Judy Miller will be here as well, the great Judy Miller. We have a few calls on the line. We'll get to what the judge will not allow into the Fort Hood massacre trial from the prosecution in a little while or in the next hour. But let's go quickly to Mark in Gainesville, Florida. Hey, Mark, you're on the Steve Malzberg Show. Thanks for checking in.
You're welcome, Steve. This is a real outrage, what's going on. It's been reported that Morsi asked for that blind chick to be transferred, that he was a hostage, and that instead of telling him off, Obama was sending more of our money over there after that. Then we heard from people on the ground that Morsi, pro-Morsi savages were on their way to attack the consulate, and they were yelling, "We're sent from Morsi, don't shoot." And then there were people on the ground, it appears, expecting a hostage crisis. So did our government make some kind of deal with the Muslim Brotherhood to exchange our ambassador there with this piece of crap that's in jail here?
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is the first I've ever heard about, and thanks for the call, Mark, about any kind of Egypt connection to Benghazi. Like I said, and as I talked about with the Congressman, DeGenevo said that he was talking about weapon transfers to the Syrian rebels, but I've heard nothing about Morsi and Egypt. Well, let's go to Dave in Colorado. Dave, you're next up on the Steve Malzberg Show. Hello, sir. Dave, hello.
Steve?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. We got less than a minute. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Hey, listen, it's not so far outside the realm of possibility that the reason that Boehner and Petraeus, even Judge Roberts, suddenly behave in an uncharacteristic manner, this is in conjunction with the NSA snooping. It might be kind of way out there, but it's not beyond the scope of reality that Obama's collecting political dirt on his opponents.
Look, I let me just say this without being specific to that. Nothing would surprise me. Nothing would shock me. I'll never understand how Roberts flipped. So nothing would shock me. On the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hey guys, do you know your testosterone level? You should. Each year, declining testosterone robs more of your energy, drive, motivation, and even your ability to perform in bed. Take control of your testosterone today. Write this number down because Progene, the leader in dual-action testosterone supplements, is now giving you a free supply if you call today at 800-592-4834. If you'd like to feel closer to 20 than 40 and get back that energy, drive, and confidence, call now to try Progene risk-free. Don't believe us? We'll even prove it works. Ask about our at-home testosterone test kits and see for yourself what Progene can do for you. Be one of the next 100 callers. We'll triple your order and send you a full 1-month supply of Progene for free. A $70 value for only the cost of shipping and handling. Call 800-592-4834 for details. Know your level and kick your drive back into gear with Progene. Call 800-592-4834. That's 800-592-4834. Again, 800-592-4834.
3 a.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients, focused on improving prostate health by targeting the two main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited time radio offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE.
welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. The chaos in Egypt continues, and making things worse, former Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak is expected to be released from custody this week. Mubarak is in the middle of a retrial for killing hundreds of protesters ahead of his ouster in 2011. Court officials say time has run out to hold him. And in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, Islamic militants stopped 2 minibuses carrying 25 off-duty policemen and then shot them execution-style. The day before, security forces killed at least 36 detainees they say were trying to escape from a prison truck convoy. The violence is the latest in a string of clashes between security forces and supporters of ousted President Mohamed Morsi. And with the death toll rising, more Washington lawmakers are calling for the U.S. to suspend the $1.3 billion of aid we give Egypt each year. But others argue that could be bad for both the U.S. and Israel.
The fact is, there's no good guys here. But of the two, I think there's more opportunity to protect American interests if we work with the military.
And Carolyn Kennedy, who's been nominated by President Obama as the ambassador of Japan, reportedly released her financial information. The daughter of the president is worth as much as $500 million, more than previously thought. That's according to the New York Post, which cites a legal source who reviewed Kennedy's filings. Kennedy declined to reveal this information when she briefly sought the Senate seat vacated by Hillary Clinton in 2008. And there are new allegations almost 16 years after the death of Princess Diana that she was murdered by a member of the British military. Diana, her companion Dodia Fayed, and their driver were killed in a Paris car crash in 1997. Now Scotland Yard is reportedly reviewing new info passed on to detectives by the in-laws of a former British soldier. But skeptics say these types of rumors seem to appear every year around the anniversary of Diana's death.
I would simply ask, where is the evidence of this murder? There has been a full inquiry that has cost the British taxpayer millions of pounds.
It should be noted the Royal Military Police did pass on the investigation when it was told about these new allegations. And in South Africa, Olympic track star Oscar Pistorius has officially been charged with murdering his model girlfriend on Valentine's Day. The double amputee was emotional as he heard the charges. Prosecutors say they plan to call more than 100 witnesses, including one who heard a woman screaming just before those shots were fired. Pistorius says he thought he was shooting an intruder. He will remain free on bond until the start of his trial. If convicted, he could face life in prison. And coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, a massive volcano erupts in Japan. See what it's doing to a nearby city and what geologists say could happen next. Plus a Newsmax exclusive with Reagan biographer Craig Shirley. We'll discuss the new movie The Butler and why he says it gives an unfair portrayal of our 40th president. Next.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com. In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at Aftershock911.com. Aftershock911.com.
If you're a baby boomer or senior, please listen closely to this important message. Politicians in Washington are quietly plotting to decrease your Social Security payments drastically, and they want to do it soon. In fact, despite rising prices at the gas pump, grocery store, and doctor's office, retirees have received a mere 1.3% annual increase to their Social Security checks. Meanwhile, upon a weird trick that could add up to $1,000 to your monthly Social Security checks, we knew we had to share it with you. To get started, simply go to SocialSecurityFree.com. Yes, it's true. You can take simple steps that could add up to $1,000 to your monthly Social Security payouts. Newsmax says SocialSecurityFree.com is a critical resource for anyone over 50. Go to SocialSecurityFree.com.
And welcome back. A volcano in southwestern Japan is spewing a lot of volcanic ash, which is blanketing nearby Kagoshima. This is Mount Sakurajima, which towers over the city of about 600,000. The record smoke column reached a height of 16,400 feet. Lava also flowed down the southeastern part of the mountain, but authorities say there are no signs that more large-scale eruptions could take place. Well, the film The Butler about Cecil Gaines, who worked for 34 years in the White House, gives an unfair portrayal of President Ronald Reagan. That's according to Reagan biographer Craig Shirley, who during a Newsmax exclusive says the film is grossly inaccurate, especially on Reagan's handling of race.
He has yet been captured by any element of Hollywood correctly in terms of the nuance of his thinking, the depth of his thinking, the sophistication of his thinking.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for August 19th. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hour number 2 of the big Steve Malzberg Show. You know, Joe Scarborough, former congressman from Florida. He's been out of politics now for, I believe, over 10 years. Yeah, I mean, I was filling in for him on MSNBC when he did the show at night in the 2002, maybe 2003. Maybe that's pushing it. Anyway, long story short, he's at it again. He's at it again, and he's trashing Republicans. Just like I'm sorry to say Newt Gingrich is now trashing Republicans. Newt Gingrich, he made that outlandish comment the other day, last week, that Republicans have zero ideas when it comes to health care. I'm like, what are you talking about? What is that all about? And Rick Santorum said, I don't know what he's talking about. So it's not just me. All right, I want you to listen to Joe Scarborough here in, this will be cut 16. Here he's talking about Trayvon Martin, and it's kind of bizarre, okay? Because he's basically saying that Republican leaders didn't do enough to show sympathy with Trayvon Martin. Okay. All right. So it froze. All right. Well, let me. We don't have the ability to play the soundbite right now, unfortunately. So let me just tell you what he said. He said, you take Trayvon Martin, it would have cost the Republican leaders absolutely nothing. And he was talking to Ed Rendell, the former governor of Pennsylvania. Absolutely nothing. To just show a little respect, show a little bit of sympathy, and speak out against the most extreme elements, supporting George Zimmerman before they even knew the facts of the case. Then he admitted, he said, well, now again, you know, I got out early and said some things about George Zimmerman myself I shouldn't have said, perhaps. I got overly emotional, but I'm not in office, and if I were, I would have apologized. And then he said, the Republican Party right now is sending out signals, if you're not white, you're really not welcome in this party. And by the way, people are going to get mad at me for saying it. Look at the numbers from 2012. We could do things that don't cost us a lot. We're not even doing it. Well, by the way, back in March of 2012, he called George Zimmerman a murderer before he knew the facts. Okay? But how on earth is the Republican Party saying right now, sending out signals that if you're not white, you're not welcome in the party? This is the same garbage we get from the leftist media. What is Joe Scarborough talking about? It seems like every time he stands up for something, makes a little bit of a conservative stand. The last time I think he did it, he almost trashed his own network, NBC and MSNBC, saying that they do exactly what I don't know what she was accusing Mika was accusing Fox of doing. And then he has to back off. Let's listen to the 18. We got 18? All right, here, listen to this from cut 18.
The Republican Party right now is sending out signals.
And they're all
if you're not white,
right,
you're really not welcome in this party. And by the way, people are going to get mad at me for saying it. Look at the numbers from 2012. We could do things that don't cost us a lot. But we're not even doing it.
Was the presidential debates when that gay soldier called in
and the crowd booed him, and not one of the candidates had the guts to stand up and say, hey, I don't care if you disagree
this is going
with
on
his
too long.
lifestyle.
The out cue was not doing it. So, okay. I don't know why the cut was elongated, but nonetheless, you get it, right? You get it? What is he talking about? What? And by coming out in sympathy for Trayvon Martin? Well, joining the chorus? Should John Boehner have stood next to Eric Holder and said, I'm troubled by the verdict? Would that have made Joe Scarborough happy? Joe Scarborough is a phony conservative. He'll tell you that he has a 100% rating from the Conservative Union. That was when he was congressman. They don't give ratings to talk show hosts, Joe. And you haven't been a congressman in over a decade. Time after time after time, he comes out with this nonsense. He's accusing the Republicans of being racist. Why? Because they stuck up for a man who was found not guilty of second-degree murder and manslaughter? Because they stuck up for a jury verdict that said that it had nothing to do with race, the people on the jury said? So they're supposed to go out and say it did have something to do with race? And we're troubled by the verdict? Would that have made Joe Scarborough happy? That would have got us black votes. Nonsense. Nonsense. 95% of blacks voted for Barack Obama. Nothing Republicans could have done would have changed that. And if only they would pass immigration reform, we'd get all those Hispanic votes. Nonsense. We are more in line. Republicans are more in line with Hispanic beliefs and needs and cares and wants and concerns than Democrats. And immigration reform is fourth on the list. But don't tell that to a phony like Joe Scarborough. I'd like to say he's living in a fantasy world, but I don't even believe that. I believe he's saying it simply because he's either being told to say it by MSNBC or he wants to say it on MSNBC to solidify his position there. I don't believe he believes it. I don't. Not for a minute. Not for a minute do I believe he believes what he's saying. See, usually I ask the question, I say, well, the people that we're talking about, well, they're not stupid. Or do they believe it, or are they trying to be phony? Or I have no doubt that Joe Scarborough doesn't believe what he's saying. No doubt. My opinion. My opinion. All right, let's get to a quick phone call before we go to Pam Geller to talk about this million Muslim march slated for 9/11 in Washington, D.C. But let's go to the phones at 855-777-9660. We have Jason in Illinois. Hey, Jason, you're on the Steve Malzberg Show. Thanks for calling.
Yes, sir. Thanks for putting me through. I got a point to make. I think Republican or Democrat, independent or libertarian or whatever you are, you can pretty much see clearly, or people are beginning to see clearly, that this government is captured. We are possibly under a coup, long-term coup, even more recent. I'd say 9/11 was a coup. We need to get rid of the federal government. We need to secede all 50
wait, time
states.
out. How is 9/11 a coup?
Well, 9/11 was clearly a false flag terror attack. I mean, I don't want to sit here and argue about 9/11, but let's just be honest. I mean,
it was a what terror attack?
A false flag terror attack. It was set up. There were drills running the same day. They had the Able Danger and Able.
All right, folks. Sir, all right, I don't either. But are the people dead?
Who? Is who dead?
Did the people who were hijacked on those planes, were they hijacked and are they dead?
You mean the 15 Saudi Arabians out of 19 hijackers? Yeah, they're dead because they were probably gassed and then droned into those buildings. I mean, come on. Look, I don't want to argue about 9/11, but I'm not going to sit here and.
You didn't see the building. You didn't see the building. You didn't see the plane crash into the building on 9/11. You saw a drone do it?
Sir, I did see planes crash into the buildings. I also saw World Trade Center 7 fall when no plane hit it and only few fires. That building was controlled demolition. There's no question
no plane hit the building? Okay.
No plane hit World Trade Center 7, sir. Towers 1 and 2 were hit by planes. World Trade Center 7 was a 47-story skyscraper.
All right.
It fell.
All right, one question for you. One question for you. When exactly did Dick Cheney wire the buildings with explosives to make them implode?
Obviously, Dick Cheney did not wire the
buildings. Oh, really?
Listen, let me finish.
Go ahead.
Okay? Could it be possible that Dick Cheney whoever else, whoever was involved in this, Larry Silverstein, this went way up. This was a highly technical operation, okay? We know that there were men inside the buildings doing construction. Okay, I didn't want to get off into 9/11, but since you took me there, I'll do it. We know that there was men in the building doing construction. We have witnesses that say that. We have secondary explosions. There's definitely teams of men in this world that could easily go in, wire up a building with the exact right.
Right. All right, listen, Jason, with all due respect, I don't want to take time away from our guests with more of this nonsense, so thank you for the call. I appreciate it. There you go, folks. They're still out there, the so-called truthers, 12 years later. They still think it was an inside job, 9/11. It was a coup. I didn't know what he meant by a coup. He also says we're living in a coup. We had a coup now. I don't know what I'm glad we didn't get to find that out. When we come back, Pam Geller joins us. Million Muslim March right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Guys, you've heard about Ageless Male, the natural supplement that helps boost testosterone levels within normal, healthy ranges. But now, the best testosterone product is even better. New and improved Ageless Male can help you feel more like you used to in your active life and in your romantic life. Because our upgraded formula has been clinically shown to increase your drive, desire, and performance. That's right, guys. Ageless Male has been clinically shown to boost performance. Cancel your plans this weekend. You're staying in. If you're ready to recapture the drive from your youth, now is the time to try Ageless Male because it's available risk-free. But you must call now. Just call 1-800-460-9790. Be the guy you used to be. Just call 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax Magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54, with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax Magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax magazine every month.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. Aww. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, folks, we are back, and as we talked about last week, there are plans underway for a group called AMPAC, American Muslim Political Action Committee, to hold what they call a Million Muslim March in Washington on September 11th. Only it's not a memorial service for those who perished at in the terrorist attacks on that day 12 years ago. It is well, we'll talk to Pam Geller and have her give us more information on what it's all about. Joining us now is the founder of AtlasShrugs.com, president of the American Freedom Defense Initiative and Stop Islamization of America, Pam Geller. Hey, Pam, how are you? Welcome back.
Hey, handsome, how are you?
Good to talk to you again.
Great talking to you.
All right, so the people who are running this on their website talk about the fact that there's been Muslims have been made into villains. They want their civil rights. The government isn't doing enough to protect Muslims, and things get worse and worse in this country for them. And we've all been fed a bunch of lies, I guess, about 9/11, and they want the record to be set straight. I mean, this is a direct slap in the face that they're holding this on 9/11.
Yeah, because 9/11, of course, as you know, is a national day of grieving for the largest attack on American soil. It's when jihad came to America. This is another in a long series of post-9/11 attempts by Muslim groups to portray themselves as victims and deflect attention away from the reality that the 9/11 hijackers and so many other jihadis were incited to violence by Islamic teaching. This is what I would consider to be a victory victimhood march. And this is part of a larger effort by Muslim groups to end all post-9/11 counterterrorism efforts. You know that Obama has already scrubbed all mention of Islam and jihad from counterterror training for the FBI and other agencies. And now Muslim groups linked with the Muslim Brotherhood are working toward absolute victory to get law enforcement to stop counterterrorism activities among Muslims, tarring them, quote, as racist or as profiling or as Islamophobic. We are disarming the American people. We are disarming law enforcement. One only has to watch the proceedings in Killeen, Texas, of the Fort Hood jihadi. Just today, the judge ruled that motive and most of the evidence would be inadmissible. Since when in any prosecutorial trial was motive irrelevant, particularly in a military tribunal where the enemy combatant, or Major Hassan, has declared that this is war and he was waging jihad?
Yeah, and they wanted to bring up a previous such attack back in 2003 and prove that this was kind of a copycat. They wanted to submit emails for Anwar al-Awlaki that were sent both ways between Nidal Hassan and Awlaki, and the judge said no. No, I mean, this attempt to scrub this into being a case of workplace violence is now extended into the military tribunal, apparently.
Exactly, and talk about copycats. But if you recall, there was a copycat jihadist, Nasir Abdo, who was apprehended before he waged his jihad, saying that Major Nidal Hassan in Fort Hood had inspired him. He was a devout Muslim waging jihad in the cause of Islam. But anyone that talks about this, you or I or anyone, is a racist, Islamophobic, anti-Muslim bigot, and that, too, is part of the war. There's a war going on, of course, the bombs, the bloodshed, the bullets, but there's also a war going on, Steve, in the information battle space. And people like myself and my brilliant colleagues like Robert Spencer, Ibn Warq, Wafa Sultan, Ayan Hirsi have been, in effect, blacklisted. So first, let me tip my hat to you for even having me on, because believe it or not, it's an act of courage. And secondly, by by relegating these voices, these brilliant voices. I'm not calling myself brilliant. I was referring to
I'll call you brilliant.
No,
Go
that's
ahead.
okay, but I was really referring to my colleagues. By relegating them to the very fringes of society, what you're doing is you are relegating the message, you're demonizing the message, you're killing the messenger. And America, frankly, at this moment, with Obama as the president and, of course, pursuing a pro-jihadist policy, whether it's in Egypt or whether it's in Libya or whether it's in Israel, renders us, honestly, in a free fall. As global jihadists, really are emboldened. They're emboldened in their march towards, global supremacy, and it's quite shocking. Look, how many was it now? I think today I listed 36 or 38 churches that have been, is it 50 now? The churches that have been...
In Egypt, and the churches and homes and businesses that were marked with paint before they were destroyed.
Red paint.
Yep, very reminiscent, and it's horrific. It's outrageous, and I haven't heard boo from this administration or this State Department.
How about the media? The media that's all up in arms about some bogus, drummed-up, racist incident like Trayvon Martin. I mean, these are people that are being slaughtered. This is creed apartheid. This is racist apartheid. This is gender apartheid. This is the other apartheid. When I say the media, I believe that the media has become the enemy. They are an activist organization. They're no longer a passive organization. They're an activist organization dedicated to an anti-American, anti-freedom agenda. And that's why what you're doing is so crucial, Steve.
And Pam, we got 1 minute left or so, but the first thing that came to mind when I saw this call for this million-man march, or million Muslim march, was the 9/11 mosque. I mean, just more in your face. That's the hope. They don't shy away from that.
Exactly. And this is a major psyop to intimidate Americans into thinking there is something wrong and bigoted about resisting jihad terror, about resisting what happened in Fort Hood, about resisting what happened in Boston. It's like, imagine if Japanese groups marching on December 7th, and they wouldn't dare, of course, because they were embarrassed by Pearl Harbor. They don't want to be identified with it. But this Muslim group behind this made the choice to march on September 11th because they disavow any Muslim connection to the terror attacks on that day, and they're trying to compel Americans to accept the idea that Islam had nothing to do with 9/11, despite the abundance of evidence.
Oh yeah,
that it did.
Come on, absolutely. Pam, thank you for coming on, and check Pam out at atlasshrugs.com, president of the American Freedom Defense Initiative, AFDI, and Stop Islamization of America. Great to talk to you, my dear. Take care.
Hey, thank you for having me on, Steve. Take care.
Bye-bye. Okay, folks, we're coming back. You want to weigh in, 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660 on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-978-3907. That's 800-978-3907. Call right now.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming. The shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5-ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The silver polar bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Yes, indeed. We are heard and seen on all those platforms and many, many more to come. Joining us now is our friend Judy Miller from the Manhattan Institute. And Judy, welcome.
Hi, how are you, Steve?
How's your summer going?
Busy.
It's almost over. Yeah, busy is right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of that is attributable to what's going on in Egypt.
Right, right, absolutely.
You and I haven't talked about this in quite a while, and of course in the past week or so the whole landscape has changed. Today we find out that Mubarak is going to be released from prison in a couple of weeks, and today or over the weekend we find out the burning of the churches, the slaughter of the Christians, the marking with red paint of these facilities before they were attacked, which is just brings back all kinds of horrific historical analogies and comparisons to what was done to the Jews in Germany. Where is this country now?
Well, this country is basically its future is being determined by what's happening in the streets, by the struggle between the Muslim Brotherhood supporters and the military and their civilian allies. The future of Egypt is very much in play right now. And the administration, which of course I knew you were going to ask, so I'm going to get ahead of you here.
I was good. Yeah, you know what I was going to. How much of responsibility do they bear?
Well, you know, I think that we shouldn't fall into what I call the Egyptian pattern, which is to blame the United States for all of its ills. And by the way, both sides of this struggle do that. We either are accused of having supported President Morsi, the Muslim Brotherhood candidate, too much, or we're accused of not supporting him enough when 30 million Egyptians go into the streets and sign petitions saying this man is destroying democracy. So the point is we have very limited leverage here in this situation, and anything we say at this point is not likely to be helpful, and I'm very pleased that the administration tried to do something to secure an agreement. That effort failed, and now the grim truth is that this is a struggle that the Egyptians are going to have to wage, and that whose outcome will be determined by them.
But of course, back to where we are. I mean, we have a State Department that, an administration that won't call it a coup, that said they don't have to. They've determined. This was almost a direct quote. We've determined that we don't have to make a determination on what it was, or on what it's called, and of course, as you know, when Obama sent McCain and Lindsey Graham there, it was to reach out to try to get to the Muslim Brotherhood back involved, and they've openly said they want the Muslim Brotherhood back involved in any kind of a compromise or any kind of new elections, and meanwhile, the Muslim Brotherhood is doing what I think most people would expect them to do, or the Egyptian government is rather, and that's arresting them, outlawing them, and getting rid of them, and hopefully banning them, because they're anti-American, they're anti-Israel, they're anti-Christian, they're anti-Semitic. They have they're the antithesis of democracy, and this administration's in love with them.
I don't think that's true. I know this is going to surprise you, but I actually think the administration's policy so far, if your standard is do no harm, has been pretty good, and I'll tell you why. It took a lot of foresight and I think a sense of where American strategic interest lies to take the position that we didn't have to declare this a coup. I mean, let's face it, of course it's a coup, right? You know it's a coup, I know it's a coup, but it wouldn't be helpful to cut off money to the group that has done so much to advance American interests in the region and upon whom American forces depend for movement, a bulwark of the support for Arab-Israeli peace, and I'm talking about the Egyptian military. It would not enhance our leverage to cut off aid to the one group that's making most of the decisions now on one side of this fight. So I think that was the correct decision. I think canceling the military exercises known as Bright Star, and by the way, Steve, I used to cover those exercises.
Really?
So I know
Wow.
about them, yeah. We haven't had those exercises since 2009. So it was a symbol, and it sent a signal to the generals. But meantime, we were working behind the scenes to try and get the Muslim Brotherhood and the military to do a deal. That effort failed, but it was the right thing to do, and it's right not to declare them a coup so that you can continue to have some modest leverage in this fight, and to understand that our influence and our impact is going to be limited. There's just not very much we can do now. We have to stand back and see how this struggle plays out.
And how do you think this struggle is going to play out, and how long do you think it's going to take for this struggle to play out?
Well, I have great faith in the Egyptian people. I mean, I've been going to that country since the early 1970s, and I was based there for the New York Times in the mid-'80s. I watched Mubarak crack down on the Brotherhood when it became clear that they were supporting terrorism and blowing up ministers and officials in the streets, even though they said that they had renounced violence. I think that if the Muslim Brotherhood doesn't make a deal with the military, the military will move to crush them with the overwhelming support of most Egyptians. I do not think that's a good outcome. I think, by the way, that some Islamist participation is very essential if the views of a large percentage of Egyptians are to be represented in a democratic government. But I think that the Islamists do not need to be the Brotherhood. They could be the Salafists, who are a group which is doctrinaire in terms of doctrine, even more pure, more Islamic than the Muslim Brotherhood. But they have in the beginning they supported the military crackdown. So, in other words, you don't have to have participation of the Islamists to include those who favor a larger role for Islamists and Islamism in Egypt. But I think, I think that I think the military will move to crush them, and I think they will be successful. I worry about them driving the Brotherhood underground and back into terror. That's what my big concern.
Yeah, okay, so that's why you think it would, because I was wondering why you said it would be a mistake when you admitted that there could be other Islamic influences and other Islamic representatives in that government, not the Brotherhood, but you just basically answered it because you don't want them to go underground and then and then start blowing people up as a terrorist group. But
absolutely.
But when they were included in the process, you saw the results. So how do you tame a group like that?
Well, Steve, all we've seen is that when they're ruling, they tend to exclude the views and the participation of anybody else who disagrees with them. So what has been determined by the Egyptian people, not by the United States, is that they are not fit to govern and that they are not democratic and that Egyptians don't want them. Now, would I have been happier, would you have been happier if that had been determined by an election? Absolutely. But it was the feeling of most Egyptians. I was there in April. And most Egyptians said that I talked to said the army must move because we are never going to have another election. They will consolidate power. We will never get a chance to get rid of them. That's why we've had what we've had this summer. So I think that my hope is still that the more pragmatic members of the Brotherhood will realize that Egyptians don't want what they were peddling and will make a deal with the government, and that Egyptians will come together to move along with the roadmap that had been devised for Egypt's very slow and painful transition to democracy.
One more for you, Judy Miller of the Manhattan Institute. Why would the Army make a deal with the Brotherhood at this point? Why would they trust them? Why would they make a deal with them? For what purpose?
Well, I don't to avoid driving them underground, as we've discussed, but also because it doesn't mean that they can participate in government without dominating government. I mean, their voice can be heard, and on some issues they may win, and on other issues they're likely to lose, but they can still participate in government and learn what democracy is all about, which is not, imposing edicts, as President Morsi did, saying that, I can overrule any law that's enacted by the parliament. That was one thing he did, for example, that was completely anti-democratic, and the Obama administration said very little about it, moves like that. So, you can let them participate, and they have to learn what being a Democrat is all about, which is winning some and losing some struggles.
Well, see, where you and I disagree probably is that I don't think you could teach, pardon the expression, an old dog new tricks. I don't think they have any interest in that. And I stick by my previous assessment of the Muslim Brotherhood. They're, just on the basis of what Morsi said in the past about Jews and what they're doing now in their slaughtering of Christians and blowing up churches. I have no use for a group like that. I don't want them in my government if I'm Egypt. I don't want them anywhere. Drive them the heck out of the country, not underground.
Well, there were several Muslim Brotherhood members whom I spoke to, and people who were even spokesmen who shared your horror and my horror at such statements. And I think that the best thing that could happen would be that the Brotherhood would split at this point, and that the people who were more active in the party, the Freedom and Justice Party, would actually come to the forefront and make the kind of deal that I'm recommending. I think that you have to separate out those people who don't want to play by democratic rules and say, no, you can't play. But anybody who's willing to play should be able to play, whether or not they call themselves a Muslim Brotherhood or whether or not they call themselves a Salafist. But as long as they respect democratic rules and procedures, I think they ought to be permitted to participate, that it's in everyone's interest that they do so. But we can't determine that. Egyptians have to determine that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, Judy, a pleasure talking to you as always. Thank you very much.
Good talking to you, Steve.
Bye-bye.
We'll
Take care.
Watch with interest.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, every day. All right, Judy Miller, ladies and gentlemen, Manhattan Institute, and you read her at Newsmax a lot as well, of course, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Okay, I mean, look, I love Judy, and I respect everything she said. But like I said to her, I mean, to me, they are, they always have been, and they always will be, a terrorist group. They support terrorism. They are capable of terrorism. They've enacted terrorism. When they took over the government, they arrested and locked up people who disagreed with them. They thought they could overrule anything that they wanted to because they thought they were, the dictator in charge, king, whatever you want to call them. And that's not going to change. And to me, talking about, the people within the group, you know what? If you're a member of a group, this is my opinion. If you're a member of a group that does all these horrific, terrible, disgusting, despicable things, why would you stay in that group and call yourself the, I don't know, progressive members of the group, or progressive party of the group, or progressive wing of the group, or the group that's more apt to acquiesce politically, that's more in favor of democracy? Why wouldn't you get the heck out of that violent, anti-Christian, anti-Semitic, anti-democracy terrorist group and form your own group? So to me, anybody who identifies themselves as a Muslim Brotherhood, but a moderate member, or a good member, or a bad member, it's like the good Taliban. To me, the good Taliban stand there and watch while the bad Taliban throw the lie in the faces of the little schoolgirls. That, to me, is how what good Taliban? Why would you still be affiliated with the Taliban? It's like good Nazis. If you're in the Nazi party and they're doing that, what are you? Oh, but we're the good portion of the Nazi party. What? Get the heck out of the Nazi party. I know I'm not talking about if it's feasible, but you know what I mean. If you're in the Muslim Brotherhood and you're seeing what's happening and you say, oh, no, we want to take the Muslim Brotherhood in a different, get the heck out, form your own group. Why do you need the name Muslim Brotherhood? Because you really favor what's going on. That's my opinion. What do you folks think out there in television or radio land? 855-777-9660. 855-777-9660. There are no good terrorists. There are no bad terrorists. If you belong to a group that is doing what this group in Egypt has done, and what the Muslim Brotherhood has been about for forever, in my opinion, but let's talk about what they've done lately in Egypt. Why would you stay as a member of the Muslim Brotherhood and tell Judy Miller, oh, but we want this and we want that? Leave the Muslim Brotherhood, denounce the Muslim Brotherhood, and form Group ABC. And say, we want this, we want that. Agree? Disagree? I want to know, because I have an inquiring mind, and that's why I want to know. 855-777-9660 on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax Television.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Judging from everything you hear, you think all cholesterol is bad, but that's not really true. You need a certain amount of cholesterol to maintain good health. The problem is that too much cholesterol in your blood contributes to a plaque, a fatty substance that narrows the coronary arteries that feed blood flow to your heart. Picture your coronary arteries as a 4-lane highway. If one lane becomes blocked, traffic still flows well. 2 lanes, no major problem. But if a 3rd lane becomes blocked, that spells trouble. It's the same way with your coronary arteries. And when plaque slows their blood flow to your heart, this can even cause a heart attack. The good news is that when it comes to cholesterol, lifestyle changes can pay off big time. Even a small reduction in plaque can be like opening up another highway lane. Suddenly, blood flow that was stalled can go forward again. Changing your lifestyle does not have to be hard. And in fact, here are 3 ways to help you start lowering your cholesterol. Snack on nuts. Nuts are probably one of the easiest and tastiest ways to lower cholesterol. Walnuts and almonds are among the best. Bulk up your diet with fiber. Choose whole fruits instead of a fruit juice, brown rice instead of white, and if you're eating a baked potato, be sure to leave the skin on. Choose fish. Fish contains cholesterol-fighting omega-3 fatty acids. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured, on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
Meet Jim. Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's get up and go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. His prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight, and nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor. Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind: to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back, and no one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 855-777-9660. That is the number. And we have Brad weighing in from Anaheim, California, home of the Anaheim Angels. Hello, Brad.
Hey, Steve.
How are you, sir?
In general, I enjoy your program. I recently got XM and picked up.
Well,
anyway,
I appreciate that. You know, you could always also watch us on Newsmax TV and Roku and on all these apps all over the place. So I hope you'll give a look, and I'll wave to you. Go ahead.
Well, I'm out busy during the day, so I'm not in front of any kind of a screen. But
okay,
you know what you just said about members of the Muslim Brotherhood. It just hit me that, in my opinion, you contradicted yourself in a way that it might be a little bit of a stretch, but I want to make the point.
Sure, go ahead.
About 30 minutes ago, you had a guy on that was basically discounted. He was the guy that talked about questioning 9/11, but his main point was that we've got to take over the federal government. We've got to start our own. We've got to do something to get out of what's going on. But, all of us Americans right now, we have a government that's doing things in our name that we don't like. They've sanctioned the killing of, 60 million Americans in the womb. There's a lot of reasons why we should be throwing these bums out. But your solution, or your point about, get out, maybe it's not as easy as it seems, that's all.
My point about get out what? What do you mean?
Get out of the Muslim Brotherhood. I'm not trying to equate directly.
Oh, I see. You said why don't the Muslim Brotherhood is not a elected government. In other words, the Muslim Brotherhood is kind of like a party. It's like if a politician, not even a party. I don't even want to give them that status. They're a group, okay? They're a group, and in my opinion, they hate everybody except Muslims. and they're violent. And so it's a group. It's like a terrorist group or a group, and you could just leave. What I'm saying is, Judy Miller made the point that there are several in the Muslim Brotherhood that she talked to that want to be more peaceful and this and that. And I'm saying, why would you stay affiliated with that group? Your analogy to our government. Do I agree that abortion is horrific, and do I agree that there's tons of things about our government that I don't like and that they're doing in our name, etc.? Absolutely. But I don't see the analogy to the Muslim Brotherhood, and I don't see the analogy to, how you would say. In other words, I'm saying get out of the Muslim Brotherhood, and you're saying it's almost the same as saying get out of our government. Anybody could resign from our government, if they wanted to. Anybody could change parties if it's a party problem. Anyone could leave politics tomorrow and say I'm going back into private life. So I don't see your analogy at all on any level.
Well, I'll admit that it strains it a little bit, but in a way,
that's all right.
I see that there is, you're still an American even if you get out of the party. But right now, I don't think Americans actually have a choice. We're being force-fed a government.
Well, when you say we're being forced, who's being forced out of it? You mean as an American citizen who participates in the process, you're being discouraged, and that equals forced out of participating? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, I'm getting more and more skeptical. Several days ago, you had another guy on that brought up the question of we should be questioning these electronic voting machines. I don't trust them. I just don't trust them. I think the counts, they should spread out the authority on that, have the local people be counting the votes, because I just don't think, I've lost faith that our government is being truthful to the people.
Well, with very good reason, Brad. I mean, you've lost faith with very good reason. With very good reason. And if we had a media that was worth anything, all day long CNN is putting forth, all they care about is their interview with Prince William. Another station had another exclusive interview. It's like there's no news, nothing to cover, nothing to do, nothing big is happening, so who cares? When you're right, there's a million things going on out there that we should all care about, and it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate, and I trust our government less now than ever. A lot of it has to do with Obama even going in, but knowing what we now know with the IRS, with the NSA, with Benghazi, with everything else, all the lies, all the deceptions, I trust no one in government, basically. But that doesn't mean I'd compare us to the Muslim Brotherhood. So I appreciate you admitting you stretched a little, but I also appreciate your concern with what's going on here.
Okay.
All right, Brad. Listen, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Take care. All right, that was Brad in Cali, as my son likes to call California. I think that's pretty acceptable. Cali. I'm sure he didn't make it up. But I never heard it before until he said it. Anyway, very interesting. And I could see where people are discouraged. All right, much, much, much more ahead right here, folks, on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS, or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. The chaos in Egypt continues, and making things worse, former Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak is expected to be released from custody this week. Mubarak is in the middle of a retrial for killing hundreds of protesters ahead of his ouster in 2011. Court officials say time has run out to hold him. And in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, Islamic militants stopped 2 minibuses carrying 25 off-duty policemen and then shot them execution style. The day before, security forces killed at least 36 detainees they say were trying to escape from a prison truck convoy. The violence is the latest in a string of clashes between security forces and supporters of ousted President Mohamed Morsi. And with the death toll rising, more Washington lawmakers are calling for the U.S. to suspend the $1.3 billion of aid we give Egypt each year. But others argue that could be bad for both the U.S. and Israel.
The fact is, there's no good guys here. But of the two, I think there's more opportunity to protect American interests if we work with the military.
And Carolyn Kennedy, who's been nominated by President Obama as the ambassador of Japan, reportedly released her financial information. The daughter of the president is worth as much as $500 million, more than previously thought. That's according to the New York Post, which cites a legal source who reviewed Kennedy's filings. Kennedy declined to reveal this information when she briefly sought the Senate seat vacated by Hillary Clinton in 2008. And there are new allegations almost 16 years after the death of Princess Diana that she was murdered by a member of the British military. Diana, her companion Dodiya Fayed, and their driver were killed in a Paris car crash in 1997. Now Scotland Yard is reportedly reviewing new info passed on to detectives by the in-laws of a former British soldier. But skeptics say these types of rumors seem to appear every year around the anniversary of Diana's death.
I would simply ask, where is the evidence of this murder? There has been a full inquiry that has cost the British taxpayer millions of pounds.
It should be noted the Royal Military Police did pass on the investigation when it was told about these new allegations. And in South Africa, Olympic track star Oscar Pistorius has officially been charged with murdering his model girlfriend on Valentine's Day. The double amputee was emotional as he heard the charges. Prosecutors say they plan to call more than 100 witnesses, including one who heard a woman screaming just before those shots were fired. Pistorius says he thought he was shooting an intruder. He will remain free on bond until the start of his trial. If convicted, he could face life in prison. And coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, a massive volcano erupts in Japan. See what it's doing to a nearby city and what geologists say could happen next. Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with Reagan biographer Craig Shirley. We'll discuss the new movie The Butler and why he says it gives an unfair portrayal of our 40th president. Next.
What is LigNet? LigNet is knowledge. LigNet is power. LigNet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is LigNet? LigNet is confidential. LigNet is sensitive. LigNet is security. What is LigNet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
And welcome back. A volcano in southwestern Japan is spewing a lot of volcanic ash, which is blanketing nearby Kagoshima. This is Mount Sakurajima, which towers over the city of about 600,000. The record smoke column reached a height of 16,400 feet. Lava also flowed down the southeastern part of the mountain, but authorities say there are no signs that more large-scale eruptions could take place. Well, the film The Butler about Cecil Gaines, who worked for 34 years in the White House, gives an unfair portrayal of President Ronald Reagan. That's according to Reagan biographer Craig Shirley, who during a Newsmax exclusive says the film is grossly inaccurate, especially on Reagan's handling of race.
He has yet been captured by any element of Hollywood correctly in terms of the nuance of his thinking, the depth of his thinking, the sophistication of his thinking.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for August 19th. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show. It's hour number 3. And over the weekend, actually yesterday on the Sunday show circuit, Ray Kelly, the police commissioner of New York, was on Meet the Press, and they were talking about stop and frisk in a separate interview, but in the same segment. They also had Trayvon Martin's mother and the head of NAACP, and a bunch of Benjamin Crump was there. But Kelly was on by himself, I do believe, and gave interesting answers, and I think he made his point. You know, stop and frisk was found to be unconstitutional by a by a federal judge in New York last week, saying that too many blacks are stopped and Hispanics are stopped, and it violates the 4th Amendment, the 14th Amendment. But Ray Kelly took these statistics and took these accusations and took the judge's decision and turned it all upside down and told it like it is. Let's listen here to cut number 1.
4.4 million stops, 6% arrests, 6% summons, 88% no further law enforcement action. And then look at who is getting targeted: 52% black, 31% Hispanic, 10% white. I first want to focus on that 88% number. Of people not doing anything wrong. Does that not say to you, as the commissioner of the police, we're doing too much of this?
Okay, so here's the answer from Ray Kelly, and he just gives a perfect answer. Cut 2.
No, it doesn't mean that people are not doing anything wrong. If you look at the statute, it says reasonable suspicion that individuals may be about to commit, are committing, or have committed a crime. One of the classic examples that we use is somebody going down the street trying door handles, or a group of young men that a bodega owner fears going to strong-arm rob them when they leave their store. So there's a preventive aspect to this, and people say innocent. That's not the appropriate word.
Well, there was no further law enforcement action.
Well, what you use here is a standard of reasonable suspicion. Mm-hmm. If you have probable cause, then you have enough to effect an arrest or issue a summons. This, by the way, is a standard law enforcement practice throughout America.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the standard law enforcement practice throughout America. It's how police operate. You know, we are in such a politically correct, nonsensical, upside-down, crazy society that we now have an attorney general who is trying to keep people out of jail because we're safer now than ever before, because he says the jails are too full of criminals. We want to put less criminals in jail. In Chicago, where kids get shot every weekend, we let shooters out of jail because we don't have enough room in the jails. So they get let out. I mean, we're just upside down. And in New York, where it's working, the judge says unconstitutional, and the elected officials in New York City, the Democrats, the liberals, and many minority representatives, quote unquote, applaud and cheer and are thrilled. And listen to what Ray Kelly says about all that. Here's cut number 3.
We think the reasonable criteria is a criteria that was developed or presented to us by the RAND Corporation, an institution that's been in existence for 100 years, that says that to take a look at racial profiling and determine if it happens, you should first look at the universe of people who are identified by the victims of crime, the perpetrators identified by the victims of violent crime. What does that universe look like? And in New York, that universe certainly comports to the racial makeup of the people who are being stopped.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Minorities are overwhelmingly being stopped because minorities are overwhelmingly committing crime in New York City. Yeah, I heard it discussed on one of the shows. Well, why don't they go to white neighborhoods? There's plenty of pill popping going on there, plenty of prescription drug abuse. That's not what the cops are looking for. They're trying to save lives. They're trying to stop people from shooting each other, robbing each other, raping each other. They're trying to stop the mortality rate, the murder rate. And they've done it. They've been wildly successful. So the police put their resources where the violent crime is, and they stop it. And because most of the arrests are minorities who are committing most of the crime, by the way, and committing it against mostly minorities, by the way, that's racist. Huh? They're saving minority lives. They're saving minorities from being attacked by other minorities for the most part. Racist. Racist. Got to cut it out. Got to cut it out. It's an inconvenience, so you got to cut it out. Here's the commissioner. Cut number 4.
Well, let me just understand what you're saying. Basically, there are more African Americans and Hispanics who are committing crimes in New York City. Therefore, it justifies a higher percentage of those being stopped on the suspicion that they might do something wrong, that they might commit a criminal act, because the judge says that's faulty reasoning. She's saying you can't take an innocent population and say that that's the same as a criminal population.
Well, obviously, we don't agree with the judge, and that's why we think an appeal it should go forward here. I mean, there's fundamental questions that we're looking at. Again, we think the RAND Corporation is a reasonable criteria. We have, by the way, I think it's interesting to point out, we have the most diverse police department probably in the world.
All right, but I want you to hear one more from Commissioner Kelly. This is cut number 5.
We need some balance here. The stark reality is that violence is happening disproportionately in minority communities, and that unfortunately is in big cities throughout America. We have record low numbers of murders in New York City, record low numbers of shootings. We're doing something right to save lives. Last year, as I said, we had a record low in murders. This year, we're running 30% below that. So let me give you another figure. In the last 11 full years of the Bloomberg administration, there were 7,363 fewer murders in New York City than there were in the preceding 11 years. Now, if history is any guide, those lives saved are largely the lives of young men of color.
There you go. Now, that's not good enough for Ben Jealous of the NAACP. Here's cut number 6.
We are now at a point where you have more stop and frisks of young black men in New York City than there are young black men in New York City. And that's why Charles Blow said, and what the judge quoted him in saying, it's like burning down the house to rid it of mice. Just because there are more murders in our community doesn't mean that you can treat all of us like we are guilty. And furthermore, you should pay our communities the respect of actually listening to people when they say this is driving a wedge. This is making us less safe. It's making our kids not just fear the robbers, but fear the cops. And so they're afraid to go and talk to you when they need to go and talk to you. He's just way off base.
No. The reason that we have African-American young men and teenagers and whatnot fearing the cops is because they're taught to fear the cops. What they should be told by the community is don't run from a police officer. A policeman's your friend. Go to a police officer. Don't be afraid to go to a police officer. Instead, it's this kind of talk that the cops are racist. This is all racist. Black men have to fear. Black men have to run. Black men can't cooperate with police. I mean, I heard it from callers that weren't even black or Hispanic that said that they wouldn't cooperate with the police. That's dangerous talk, dangerous rhetoric. And for 20 years, I've been on the radio hearing about misunderstandings, tragedies where some kid unarmed is shot. One kid, the police were searching for a kid who was throwing stuff off the roof of a housing project. This kid fit the description. He ran from the police. They chased him into a grocery store. This is years ago. He hid. He was hiding in one of the aisles. All of a sudden, he sprang up and in front of one of the police officers. The police officer saw something metallic and shiny and shot him. He was unarmed, but he had a metallic chain or something in his hand. The cop has to protect himself. Why was this kid running? Why did he run from the cops? Is it the cops' fault? Is it society's fault? Or is it the fault of the community and the parents and the community leaders and the upbringing that you don't run from cops? You listen to cops. They are on your side. And until that happens, we will always have these tragedies and these misunderstandings. All right. When we come back, why are several of this nation's attorneys general writing a letter to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services over Obamacare? I think there are 12 on board. We'll speak to Attorney General Patrick Morrisey from West Virginia, who's leading this charge. Wait till you hear this when we come back on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45 non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50 non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression.
It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at Aftershock2013.com. Aftershock2013.com.
Obamacare. President Obama's massive health care law is taking effect this year. With over 15,000 pages of regulations, few even know what it means. Now, the Obamacare Survival Guide by Nick Tate gives you the shocking facts about this law. It's a step-by-step guide on how you can protect yourself. Already the New York Times bestseller, every American needs to get the Obamacare Survival Guide and find out about the new taxes, hidden fees, fines, Medicare changes, business rules, and why doctor shortages are likely. Donald Trump says the Obamacare Survival Guide is a must-read for anyone worried about getting good health care for themselves or their employees. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's at bookstores, or get our special offer at Obamacare911.com and you'll save $15. Go now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com.
Sure, Steve might be a bit of a hypochondriac, but he never gets sick of breaking news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Call Steve at 1-855-777-9660. That's 1-855-777-9660. Here's Steve.
All right, folks, something else to worry about. And first of all, what do West Virginia and Alabama and Florida and Georgia and Kansas, Louisiana, Michigan, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, did I say Florida? And Florida all have in common? Well, their state attorneys general have sent a letter to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services asking for stricter regulations over something called the health law navigators. What are the health law navigators, and why could they be a threat to our security? Joining us now to talk about this is the Attorney General from the great state of West Virginia, Patrick Morrissey. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, it's great to be on your program, Steve.
It's great. Thank you. It's great to have you on. Talk about this letter, and first tell us what these navigators that are being hired under the Obamacare fiasco. What are these navigators, and what are they going to do?
Sure. So under Obamacare, there are many, many provisions. One of them envisions that these navigators are hired, and these are basically individuals who are going to be helping people obtain health insurance. They're going to be assisting them and navigating them through the state and federal health insurance exchanges. So they're basically designed as facilitators. But what that means is that they're going to be having access to literally millions of American consumers and are going to obtain information with respect to some of the most sensitive consumer information, such as Social Security numbers and maybe some medical status. So these are the point people, if you will, who are going to be helping out the implementation on the ground floor. So what our office did, along with 12 other attorneys general, is we started to focus on the outrageous privacy deficiencies within these navigator rules, which we think could lead to identity theft run amok. It's a serious problem that we really want to focus on because, look, a lot of us are not supportive of Obamacare, but if it's going to go into effect on October 1st, we have a lot of questions that need to be answered to make sure that consumer identities are not stolen. So a number of us got together, sent a letter into HHS asking a series of questions that are very serious because we have to get to the bottom of it. And if we can't, then we need to absolutely delay this law another year.
Well, okay, so you gave Kathleen Sebelius until August 28th to respond. If she doesn't, And if you can't, as you said, get to the bottom of this, when you say we need to delay it, but you guys, I mean, don't have any power to do that, you could call for it, I guess, but only, as we well know by now, the Republicans or the House and the Congress has the power of the purse, and they could delay it, and it doesn't look like the Republican leadership has the stomach for it.
Well, Congress certainly could take the steps to delay if that would need the president's signature, but I think this is an important point for this reason. Right now, we're less than 6 weeks away from the open enrollment period on October 1st. That's not very much time. And I'd like to just give you a couple examples as to why this is problematic.
Absolutely, sure.
But what I'm going to start out and say this. I think everyone is familiar with what happened recently with the NSA, right, with respect to all the safeguards that the NSA has had in place to supposedly stop confidential information from being shared about our national secrets. Let's look at how they've done. Now, let's go to the Obamacare navigators in terms of what they're supposed to do to protect consumer privacy when there are such a limited number of mechanisms in place to prevent inappropriate disclosures. Wait until we find out the answer to that question. That's one of the reasons why all of the attorneys generals are very concerned about what's going on. Because these navigators are going to be in possession of so much sensitive information, we need to take some additional steps now. Now, the other point that I would make is that this isn't simply coming from individuals who are poo-pooing the implementation of a law. These are legitimate consumer protection concerns. If you're going to have individuals with access to such sensitive information, why would you, if you're the Obama administration, cut down the training requirements from 30 hours to 20? Why would you not put in place a provision which had mandatory criminal background checks on these individuals who are going to have access to some of the most sensitive private information of an individual? And then third, why would you have these privacy standards be so vague that there's really no clear direction as to how the navigators should be implementing this? All this says is that with less than 6 weeks before open enrollment, and when these navigators effectively have 32 business days to hire thousands of people, train and implement a system to help people enroll in Obamacare, we should not have much confidence in this process unless the administration deals with it now.
You know, I'm just going to say, Mr. Attorney General, the nightmare and the train wreck get worse and larger in scope as the days go by and we find out more information. And now this whole thing, it is just crazy. At the very least, they should have this mandatory check for criminal backgrounds. I mean, that just goes without saying.
Oh, look, and remember, this is the same administration that just delayed the employer mandate provision for a year when they arguably lacked the statutory authority to do it. They delayed a recent provision which capped the amount of catastrophic expenses that patients would be liable for because they weren't able to get their systems in place in a timely enough manner. And they wait and they roll out this Navigator program. They just announced these 105 grants on August 15th, and it gave them 32 business days to get everything together. Meanwhile, this is 3.5 years after passage.
Yeah, I know.
Law.
It is just insane. Mr. Attorney General, we thank you for your time, and we'll follow this, and we'll have you back. Thank you very much, sir.
Hey, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Attorney General Patrick Morrissey from West Virginia. It is a train wreck. Wait till you hear about what's going on in New Jersey, and you tell me if this is a trend all over the country on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting. LigNet's staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also joined our advisory board staff. Every day, our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events. There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LigNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LigNet for $1. Go to lignet.com.
This is not your typical Screenfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about the war against football. That's right, the war against football. You know, a lot of injuries ever since the Junior Seau suicide and the death and they looked into his brain and they found that he had brain damage from football related injuries, and there have been other such deaths, and this has now become a very big issue. And plus we get a lot of kids getting injured. We have 4 young men on the high school level or below. I think that teenage boys that have been killed related to football related incidents this season alone, this year alone. So we'll talk about that with the author of that book, Daniel Flynn, who wrote the War Against Football. But let me ask you this: how's this? Is 27 the new 18? They're asking at NewJersey.com. Actually, it's my9NewJersey.com. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, at least 1 in 4 New Jersey adults, follow me now, ages 18 to 31, live at home. 1 in 4, 18 to 31, live at home. And 42% are 24 or older. So you could say, oh, well, see, 18, 19, 20, that's normal. Well, 42% of the 1 in 4 are over or 24 years old and over. They say they're calling it an epidemic of these people, these young adults living with their parents, and that it's attributable in most part to a bad economy. This is not normal. This is not supposed to be. This is not the American dream. Nothing wrong with living at home, nothing wrong with saving up money, etc. But a lot of these are out of necessity. A lot of these are because they don't have jobs. They can't afford to be on their own. It's not like these people are full-time workers and they're choosing to stay at home to build up a nest egg, to go get married. You know what I'm saying? It's different. The new normal is different. And it's not a good difference. It's a bad difference, folks. You know it and I know it. Anybody out there know anybody like this? I mean, I do. 855-777-9660. 855-777-9660. According to the survey, more than 2 in 3 Americans believe that too many adults living at home with their parents are avoiding responsibility. And 65% believe too many young adults who move back home after college are overstaying their welcome. Well, I mean, I don't think it really matters what we think. I think it matters what's going on. A Moody's study shows that each new household that is created helps stimulate the economy. So children moving back home might actually hurt economic growth in their own state, which in this case, based on this survey, is the state of New Jersey. It's not a good situation, and we all know these stories. We all know these stories, and I just saw a report about the employment numbers and how they're starting to turn around and tanking again, the unemployment number. It's just not good. And here we are, almost 5 full years under Obama's policies. And don't forget, the first 2 years were a Democratic Democratic House, Democratic Senate, Democratic White House. Whatever they implemented, they could have implemented anything they wanted. And after that, things could not get undone, because after that, we went to the Democratic Senate and the Republican House. So nothing really has happened in the last almost 3 years. But these are Obama's policies. Make no mistake about them. Absolutely, they're Obama's policies. And it's something that we're feeling now the effects of, and have been feeling the effects of forever. I know the worst depression and worst the recession ever since, blah, 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 blah. Good. That's well and good. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I don't have time now to go into the new normal and all of that stuff. Plus, in the state of New Jersey. Plus, the latest casualty of Obamacare, a low-cost New Jersey health care policy known as the Basic and Essential, or B&E health care plan. The policy costs as little as a couple of $100s per month. 71% of New Jersey residents on the individual insurance market use it. It provides minimum coverage for things like doctor's visits and procedures that don't involve a hospital stay. Hoekstra Ledger says that these policyholders under Obamacare will be, quote, left with the choice among pricey, pricier, and priciest. You see, these plans don't cover enough to stay in existence. Obamacare mandates that it covers more, that every plan covers more. So now these people are going to have to pay 2, 3, 4 times as much. I know, stop talking about Obamacare. Nobody cares. It's going to be a smooth ride. All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to find out about football. 23-16, ready, hut, on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half, and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right. Our nationwide nonprofit program is helping U.S. residents cut their credit card payments. Call 800-613-3159 now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
If you need to lose weight and would like to get paid for it, that's right, I said get paid to lose weight. Just listen to the following announcement. The makers of GCE Green Coffee Bean Weight Loss are looking for real testimonials from real people and will pay you per pound to meet or exceed your weight loss goal. Until now, the secrets of green coffee's fat-burning power has been limited, but thanks to Dr. Oz, the secret is out. And now, this authentic green coffee bean fat burner is available in easy-to-take tablets. There are no expensive meals to buy or strenuous workouts. Simply take one tablet before each meal and record your progress. Only the first 200 callers are guaranteed to be accepted into the program. So if you're serious about losing extra weight and want to earn extra cash for fitting into your skinny jeans again, call 800-383-9230 now. Call 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230. Space is limited, so hurry and secure your spot today. 800-383-9230. Some conditions apply. 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction to alcohol or drugs, then you must listen to this message because there is hope. No matter what addiction you or your loved one is coping with, you are just one phone call away from real help. Recovery Hotline makes the healing process simple and affordable by matching people to fully certified and experienced inpatient facilities that are right for their personal situations. Call 800-668-1286 now. Don't wait another day. Money does not have to be an issue. Most insurance is accepted. Just call 800-668-1286 today. Recovery Hotline's mission is to help you or someone you love begin the healing process and get back a healthy and sober life. And we can even help with family interventions and travel arrangements. One phone call is all it takes to get back the life you or your loved one deserves. The call is free. The help is real. Call 800-668-1286. That's 800-668-1286. 800-668-1286. Again, 800-668-1286.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream, streaming. The most technology-advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we're having technical difficulties. Sometimes it's necessary to tape an interview around a person's schedule, and that's what we did with this one. Very rarely is there a technical difficulty with playing it back. I apologize for that, but we hope to we'll give you that interview because I think it's a fascinating topic. I think it's a fascinating subject. This attack on football. And as I was saying in the interview, if you I'm not sure exactly how much we got to play for you, but I would not let my son play football. He's 13. He wants to play football. I will not let him play football. Any other sport, yeah, but not football. And the statistics bear out that actually there are more dangerous sports, there are more dangerous endeavors, but everything comes with a risk. But football is under attack because of the head injuries, etc. And on a level, when you're talking about pee-wee football or even high school football, to me, when someone gets to college or pros, you know the risks. God bless you. But until then, precaution has to be taken. Precaution always has to be taken. But on a kind of different note, as I was alluding to at the beginning, it kind of takes me back to Sugar Ray Leonard. I'll never forget Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard had suffered a detached retina at some point, and he wanted to fight again. And there were many cities that would not let him fight because they said, well, he could go blind if he takes a punch to the eye. He could leave him permanently blind. And, man, I was doing sports at the time, so this had to be, I don't know, 20 years ago, more, and probably more. And he was, anyway, I said, Sugar Ray Leonard is an adult. He's a grown man. And by the way, if you want to weigh in on this, please do. 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660. Would you let your kid play football? I would love to know. Am I out of line? Am I crazy? Anyway, here's the deal. And the deal is that Sugar Ray Leonard is an adult. Anybody, if Sugar Ray Leonard wants what about an alligator wrestler or a lion tamer or whatever? I don't know. Do they drug these animals? Who knows? But that's not the point. The point is if an adult, a professional boxer, wants to take the risk of going blind in one eye because he could get a $20 million or a $2 million or a $1 million or a $50,000 payday. If he wants the money, if he needs the money, if he's capable of earning the money, and he knows going in that a risk is that he'll lose sight in one eye permanently, why should the state, in this case, or in that case back then, the athletic associations, not really athletic association, but the state athletic commissions, why were the athletic commissions, who are they really, why would they deny him the license to box in that jurisdiction? based on the fear that he might get hit and get blinded in one eye, if he's willing to take the risk. That's where I don't like the government intrusion, especially with a guy who's a pro, a guy like Sugar Ray Leonard, who has been a pro, knew the risks, knew everything, and wanted to take that chance. And he did get that chance to fight. And I don't think he ever suffered that kind of injury. Now, I will tell you this: I do not have my IFB in. So unless I did solicit calls, there is a call or a couple of calls, but my IFB is not here. So okay, actually, I got me an IFB, maybe, possibly. Let's see what I got here, folks. This is Inside Radio, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna plug this here, and let's see here if I could move out here for a second, and let's see if I could put this in here, and. Do I hear myself? Yeah, I hear. Ho-ho! Okay. See, you never know what you could accomplish until you try accomplishing it. Anyway, so that's the story with that, and I apologize again profusely for not being able to get that interview on. How many of you know Lee Thompson Young? Lee Thompson Young, an African-American actor who was a Disney Channel star, starred in the children's series The Famous Jet Jackson. I know nothing about it. All I know is that at age 29, according to his manager, he killed himself. He committed suicide. And that's always something sad to see. And I have no idea why he did that. I have no idea about his background. I know nothing about him. But I will say this. I was watching a little bit of Lindsay Lohan with Oprah. What a crock. I mean, first of all, I hope Lindsay Lohan doesn't wind up anywhere bad. But who cares what Lindsay Lohan at this point has to say, really? And who could believe what Lindsay Lohan has to say, when talking about her illness, her sickness, her addiction, her drug use, her alcohol use, whatever? Who cares? Now, somebody told me she got paid to do that interview. Could that be true? Could that be true that Oprah would pay for an interview? I mean, I can't imagine that. And on the other hand, though, I don't know why Lindsay Lohan would actually do the interview, to be honest with you. So I don't know. A lot of I don't knows, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg show. Let me know if we could go to that call, and we will take it. See what's going on. Here's what I had mentioned earlier about employment. Employment gains fizzle. I had mentioned that the numbers are not looking good, and certainly it says jobless rates dropped in only 8 states in July from the previous month, and rose in 28 states. Dropped in 8, rose in 28, according to the Labor Department. The slight improvement in employment last month came after jobless rates fell in only 11 states from May. Now, so we're still in we're still in I won't say dire straits, but we're in bad shape. We're in bad shape, folks. Let's see what we got here. I'll tell you about something that I did. I was off on Friday, and we took a drive down. I got to tell you, I grew up in Brooklyn. Now, I don't know how many of you are living in the area from where I'm broadcasting, living in the tri-state area, and you hear people talk about going down the shore. Going down the shore. Not even going down to the shore, just going down the shore. And I never liked that expression. I never even knew exactly what they were talking about. I assumed it was some kind of beach. But when I went to the beach in Brooklyn, I went to the beach in Brooklyn. I went to the beach. I didn't go to the shore. Why don't they call the shore the beach in Jersey? So on Friday, my son and I, we went down to the shore, the Jersey Shore. Now, there are many beaches in different locations. This one, I won't say where it was, but we had a lovely time, a great time. It was a beautiful day, and everything was wonderful. But I always, I can't believe sometimes that having grown up in Brooklyn, having gone to Brighton Beach, hardcore Brighton Beach, Bay 2, hearing people all my life and getting disgusted by it. I would go down the shore. Now I go down to the shore with my son, who doesn't know anything different except going down to the shore. because he's from New Jersey. Although he was born in Brooklyn, he's been in New Jersey since he was 2 months old. So it's just funny how you change your perspective, you change your opinions, you change your way of life. And whoever thought I would do so? I never thought I would do something like that, to be honest with you. Never thought about it. But it did happen. Anyway, all right, we ready to go to we got to okay, let's go to Bodie in Nampa, Idaho. Hello, Bodie. How are you?
Not bad. You were making a statement that kids that are living at home are an epidemic. I don't see it as an epidemic. I see it as family taking care of family. The way the economy is nowadays, you have to step up to the plate, and it's taken, 2 family members to make a go of it nowadays.
Well, first of all, I didn't call it an epidemic. I was reading from the article which called it an epidemic. However, having said that, this is not a knock on certainly you want your family to be there. Certainly, as a mother and father, you want to be there for your children if they hit on hard times or can't afford it. My point in bringing up those numbers that were in the article, my point in bringing up the whole article, Bodie, was that these children, these young adults, these middle-aged adults have to move back because of financial hardship, because of financial hard times in the country, and I pointed to that as evidence that we're in trouble.
Well, then I apologize because I misunderstood you. I thought you were bagging on it. That
no. Oh my God. I mean, please. I mean, I would, God forbid, I would be there for my son in a minute. I mean, I would love for him to be able. He's only 13, but when the time comes, I hope and I pray that I'm here. But I also hope and pray that he's able to do it on his own and make it on his own. If he wants to, save up, like I said, for a nest egg to get married or something, that's a different story. But so many so many young adults are living at home because they have to. But I say thank God that they have somewhere to go, a parent or a grandparent or a family member. Absolutely.
I don't have to be staying with my grandpa and helping him. It's helping me out a little bit, and I know that I'm being able to watch him, make sure he's getting his medication.
Well, how old are you, Bodie? I didn't even know you were staying with your grandpa. How old is he? How old are you?
My grandfather, 87.
No, how old are you?
How old am I? 27.
Okay, and are you work?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, and you have a full-time job, but you stay there, and it helps both of you out. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, well, I stay at Grandpa's 4 days out of the week, stay at the girlfriend's house 3 days out of the week.
Okay.
So it's nice. I'm just around to make sure that, he's getting kind of old, getting kind of senile, likes to shoot the squirrels, don't want him getting into trouble.
No. That's, hey, look, God bless you for that. That's Every 87-year-old grandfather should have someone like you looking out for him. Absolutely, and that's a wonderful blessing on your part.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
we're kind of saving up together. We want to go to Ireland.
Okay.
So I'm putting a little bit of money together. He's putting a little bit of money together, and hopefully me and my girlfriend and Grandpa are going to go to Ireland in the next 2 years.
Well, listen to me, Bodie. You could call me anytime on anything, but if you make that trip, I'd love to hear from you. I promise I'll remember.
It's not a problem, sir. You have a good one.
All right, you too, Bodie. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Nah, hey, I hope nobody else misunderstood. I don't knock the young adults who have to move back home. I knock the economy that we're living in that forces them in many cases to move back home. Absolutely. All right. Again, folks, I apologize for the technical difficulties with the interview. Hopefully, we'll get that to you. Of course, I'll be wearing the same suit I'm wearing now, and it'll be different from the one I'm wearing tomorrow, but you'll understand. But we'll reconvene tomorrow, God willing, as I say, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.